The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us. Here we go again with tremendous content, entertainment, information, all those great things. In fact, I will remind you, as I always do, go to stewart.com/radio. That is if you want to see and hear the show as we make a YouTube video with each show. You can see and hear the guest right there at stewart.com/radio. And one of the things as I was looking back at some shows, we were on show 385, I think it is, and it was 100 shows ago. We had the famous restaurateur Tony Vallone on our show, and as I saw that interview again, we had about 12, 18 minutes or so with Mr. Vallone, and I want to tell you, in those minutes, he did a tremendous job of telling us from the eyes of a super restaurateur what he did at his restaurant, his famous restaurant, Tony's, right here in Houston, how it was so successful, the care he took into each one of the ingredients, the presentations, the ambiance. So rest in peace, Mr. Vallone, and I encourage you, check out that interview. It was incredible. If you're in the service business, if you're in the restaurant business for sure, but if you're in the service business and you want to see what makes any kind of company great, especially this famous restaurant, Tony's, go to my personal website, which is radiobill.net. In fact, I put the interview with Mr. Vallone right up there, so it's easy for you to scroll around. You'll see it, radiobill.net, and that was a super interview. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed listening to restaurant legend Tony Vallone right here in Houston. And now, bringing us up to date, 100 shows later, we are here again with super guests. We're going to talk real estate. We're going to talk about money. We're going to get another look at our super business development officers that we have all over Houston. In fact, all over the United States and even beyond with Stewart Title. They're the best in the business. And let's welcome our first guest. She is Debbie Hartstern with Martha Turner, Sotheby's International Realty right here in Houston. Debbie, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Bill. It's fun to be back.
Let's talk real estate.
All right. What do you want to know?
Well, the signs say Real Texas, Real Talk, Real Estate right here on this show. You are with a super company, Martha Turner, Sotheby's International Realty. In case someone is listening, let's say out of state or on the internet, and they haven't heard about Martha Turner, Sotheby's, let's tell them.
Absolutely. Well, we are part of the very prestigious Sotheby's International Realty Group. And in Houston, Martha Turner really operates in all areas. We have offices all around town with great agents all around the city, rural, suburbs, urban, you name it, we can help you. And in our world, luxury isn't a price point, it's a state of mind.
And that's right. You're helping people with all sorts of properties, even beyond the Houston area, farm and ranch.
Exactly.
And those sectors, I mean, we can get into it later.
That's a big growth sector right now.
That's a super hot one, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, also, as far as when people list with your company, I think that's one of the advantages because you have that global reach as you reach across not just the United States, but all over. So let's tell people a little bit about that reach and how that helps people that may list their properties right here and even buyers.
Absolutely. Well, and with Houston being such an international city, it's very important for all sellers that their property is exposed. You really have to hit the marketing channels very hard when you're getting your property out there and known. And our website, Sotheby's Homes, is in 116 countries around the world. So we get immediate exposure all over the place. But that also is a great draw because with all of the corporations who are having huge expansion footprints in Houston, that also gives the ability in other states, cities, and countries. They can go to that site and see all the homes that are for sale in Houston.
And one of the things that come to mind to me right now is that so many people are coming to Texas.
It's true.
So many people are coming to Houston, and many of them are from these outer reaches where you have that pull and recognition worldwide.
Exactly. Yeah. Over the last 10 years, Houston has actually grown by 1.1 million people, and there are 700.
Wait. Let's say that again.
1.1 million people
in 10 years.
In 10 years.
That's a bunch.
It's a bunch. It's I think when all of the final census data comes out, we will become the number 3 city instead of the number 4 city. But we are certainly the number 1 destination for corporations. Matter of fact, for the last 2 years, we have the biggest corporate relocation footprint in the country. Out of all the cities, Houston is number 1, and then some of our sister cities, San Antonio is number 3, Austin is number 6, and Dallas is number 18. But Texas, 58 of all of the moves that happened in the state last year were inbound. So
in fact,
people get here and stay.
I'm picturing, let's say someone is even in Australia. That's kind of fresh on my mind. I was thinking in Australia or even Spain. You pick those 2 countries, and if someone is there and wants to relocate to the United States, it's probably, they're just common knowledge to go to the Sotheby.
To the Sotheby, yes, because
site,
in all of those countries, we have significant footprints. There are firms and offices all over the world. I can't do any traveling without running into the blue and white Sotheby sign, which is great because I feel at home everywhere, and people know that they can find their next home everywhere.
Well, let's give people an idea, Debbie. You are doing tremendous work 24/7, setting records and all those things. What is your approach to real estate? Let's say there's even someone that's brand new in the real estate profession. What's your approach to it that you've found successful?
Well, number one, I think it's important to listen to what the particular needs your buyer or seller have. I think, we can always talk a whole lot, but the most important thing that we do is listen. And people are going to have different needs and different priorities, and you need to make sure that those are the things that you're prioritizing when you're doing the search or when you're getting their home prepared to sell.
As far as the buyers these days, there's some extra challenges. Now, I heard last week things are slowing down a little bit. I don't know if they are or not. However, there are some challenges now, more for the buyers, I think. So how are you advising the buyers that say, Debbie, I want to buy a house that, I'll just pick a number, maybe $750.
Sure.
All right. In that price range, I come to you, I want to buy a house, $750 for myself and my family. What should I expect?
Well, first, it really will depend on the geographic area that you are specifically targeting. And then we're going to go and look at what is most important from a configuration. Do you need 2 stories? Do you need 1 story? And so you look at all that, and you look at the homes that are on the market as well as those that have sold most recently. And the common thing that's happening right now is there seems to be a lack of inventory. But what I think is, as a snapshot, yes, our inventory is down, but new listings are continuing to come on the market every day. So the best thing that I can do is we set up whatever your criteria for the home that you're looking for are, and we stay in front of all the new listings that come up. And we work first to make sure that they are pre-approved from their mortgage lender, because if they're not ready to jump and put in a good offer that you've got all of your paperwork done first, then you're not even going to be able to be competitive where properties are selling easily in 3, 5, 7 days. As a matter of fact,
hours,
absolutely. Well, what's interesting is that in the most recent 90 days, 65% of the sales that are $1 million and less sold in less than 30 days. So that says you have got to have all your ducks in a row before you start looking. But what I can do is I can help you as you're going through that process. I'll start making you familiar with it so that as soon as the properties hit the market, you can go and see it and you will be prepared to write an offer.
In fact, that's the thing I think that is for both buyers and sellers, but especially the buyer. The pace is so much different now, maybe than it's ever has been. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the fastest that I have ever experienced, and it's interesting because some of the homes that we encounter in this world are where sellers think, oh, it's a seller's market, so I can just overprice my home. But that's really not the key. You have to properly price your home for what the provable values are, because when that home is appraised for the mortgage to be approved, if it's out of whack, that's going to play out there. You've got to price it where the market is, and then if it becomes a competitive bidding war and you get more money for your home that way, then that's a different story. But people really have to be realistic about their pricing and then let the market crank it up if that's what it deserves.
There you go. As far as, and when we talked on the phone to bring you on the show, we're so happy that you're here. We're talking with Debbie Hartstern with Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty. You put together some numbers for us. Give us an idea of some of those other facts and figures that you have that you put together.
So in the most recent 90 days, in the price range of homes between $300,000 and $500,000. So in the last 90 days, there were almost 11,000 homes sold, and of those 11,000, about 6,400 or 63% of the total sales happened within 30 days. So the people that bought those homes, they were able to go in, they had their pre-approval letter, they knew what they wanted, they were ready to go, and they could make a strong offer from the get-go. And those are the people that are winning these homes.
And are you helping more buyers and sellers, or?
I'm dead even, right? I split down the middle. For year to date, I have exactly the same number of buyers as I have represented sellers.
That's awesome. As far as where do you think the market's going to go, say, in the next, before the end of the year? How do you see any trends happening?
What I think could happen as we get into times closer to the school year starting, I think the pace of it will slow down a bit, just that rapid fire pace. And I think that we'll start to see homes may take a little bit longer to sell, because right now there's a bit of buyer fatigue. Because if you've been out there and you've done all that you needed to do, but you've lost 2, 3, 4, 5 homes, that can be a very emotional experience and very draining. And so some of those folks have temporarily, they'll step away, but they will come back. It's just that it has been such a frenzy, both catching up from COVID demand and taking advantage of these great interest rates that have had, our mortgage lenders out there, our mortgage partners are, they've been really very busy between refis and new purchases. So I think things may calm a little bit, but everything is still very much positive. There's so much growth in Houston that we're going to continue to have a positive market.
As far as helping people list their properties, when you're listing their property, how many of them are moving out of the state of Texas? Give us an approximately, percentage.
It's interesting. I'm seeing more people who are changing their home for a lifestyle, either sizing up or sizing down because their families are growing or shrinking. And so I'm seeing a lot of movement within the state, and that's for the people who are moving out of Houston, but they're going to places like Austin or San Antonio, which are some of the other cities that are experiencing a lot of growth right now. But I'm seeing people come in from all kinds of places. I've just been working with some folks from Minnesota. I've got folks who are moving in from London. There's really a wide spectrum because there's so many industries that are growing here. And it's attracting people from everywhere.
I wonder if anyone's from Houston or Texas is going to Florida, because we hear a lot of people going to Florida as well. You seeing any of that?
I have not seen that just yet. That may happen when people may choose to downsize from a large home and maybe go to Florida with a smaller home, and that's going to be their retirement stance. But I have not seen a whole lot of that going to Florida.
Give us an idea of some of the other things. Your company has some tremendous, we talked about the reach of your company, the worldwide recognition. What are some of the other distinctions when people think about when they're selecting a real estate broker and selecting a tremendous agent like you, Debbie Hartstern? What else is going on over there?
Well, we've got great technology because the name of the game here is making sure you have the most information to make the best decisions. You want to be able to see the homes first. You want to be able to understand from a standpoint of, how am I getting the most for my money? Is this what I should be paying for the home? And that's all from the buyer's perspective. And so we've got great technology to keep our buyers in front of that. And then from a selling standpoint, we are a full service agency. So we don't just stick a sign in your lawn and just hope it sells. We, from the get-go, we start marketing. We have all kinds of tools. Number one, that can get you first worldwide exposure. And then in a format that is a very sophisticated, tasteful, and very attractive background from which to launch your property, because it's really important. And we do properties at every price range. I've done plenty of properties that are below the 100,000 point, and then I've also done several multi-million-dollar homes, and we do all of it with the same intent to satisfy both the buyers and sellers, because in the end, at the end of a transaction, you want everyone to come away feeling they were dealt with fairly and reasonably and happy in their home.
And curious, out of the last, let's just take 10 transactions at any price that you were involved with as far as buyers, how many of them were paying cash?
It's interesting because this year I've actually had less cash folks than I have in the past. I would say it's probably about 40% that I've paid cash.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I understand. Also, you have 2 dogs. Let's tell people about those 2 little dogs. I think we might have talked about them last show. But
we probably did. That's Bailey and Snickers, the most spoiled dogs in Houston.
See, that's the thing. In the real estate world, people are there. A lot of dog owners, and also people like to help dogs along the way, as I do, and I have 2 of them myself as well. So,
and it's a great dog city with all of our parks. There's plenty of places to go and take them, and that's really what enhances so many of the areas that we have to live, because there's really, it's a full-on community, and every kind of amenity that you want is there, especially dog parks.
And before we close the segment, Debbie, what else would you like people to know?
Well, if anyone needs any help buying or selling, I can easily be reached. Probably the easiest way will be by phone, and that is 713-854-7099, 713-854-7099. Or you can go to the Martha Turner Sotheby's website and then just search for Debbie Hartstern under agents there.
In fact, your bio is really interesting, too. I encourage people to do that. Check it out. And you can call Debbie at 713-854-7099. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you so much for having me.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com, or call 866-798-2827.
Let's talk money with Mitch Medigovich. He is with Fairway Mortgage, the Wood Group at Fairway Mortgage. Mitch, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, we need to talk about money every now and then, and we brought you forth right here to the show to tell us what the latest is. So first of all, Mitch, let's tell people about your company.
Our company's Fairway Independent Mortgage, and we are part of the Wood Group, also part of the Curtis Group that's right here in Houston. So the Curtis Group itself has about 5 offices, while the Wood Group has about 14, and there might be some good stuff coming up. So we went over with the Curtis Group for additional underwriting and processing help.
Sounds like some really thorough coverage around the city of Houston with tremendous individuals that are very knowledgeable like you.
Absolutely, around the state of Texas, as a matter of fact.
How about that? Well, let's tell people, I don't know, I guess several times a week, a day, people say, what's the mortgage rate? How long is it going to stay this low? So I will ask you on behalf of everybody listening.
That's a great question. So mortgage rate, what the mortgage rate is? Outstanding. It couldn't be better, right? We did see some lower interest rates there for a little while that were in the very, very low numbers, pretty close to 1%, as a matter of fact, which drove our big housing market right now, right? And that's what's continuing to drive that, I believe, along with first-time home buyers.
So a lot of things are going on. First of all, as far as speculation, the crystal ball, all that, how long do you think they're going to stay super low like this? Just your guess. What would that be? What's your feeling?
I think that they're going to stay this low where they're at right this second until we have to slow this crazy selling market down. I remember 2013, interest rates jumped 1% overnight. And we were in almost the same situation. At the time, I was in Colorado, and marijuana was legalized in Colorado. At the time, commercial property.
What year was that?
That was
roughly?
2013.
Okay.
2013.
Really, that long ago?
That long
How
ago.
about that?
So commercial property was going gangbusters, and then all of a sudden residential went gangbusters. And we had this exact same situation. Interest rates had to jump up. That slowed appreciation or people overbidding on property and got us back to a normal situation. So in this particular case, I don't know. But I can tell you that we're going to see a very good, strong housing market for quite a bit of time.
That's very interesting to see how this will play out. I don't know that I've never seen it like this before. So, when you mentioned the years past, you have been in this business. Let's tell people you're in here a long time.
Yeah, I got started in 1992.
Is that right?
That's right.
So you know a little bit about the program. As far as on that note, of all the things you could be doing, how is it that you chose the money world to be a part of in the many things you could do?
Yeah, I started out with my father's mortgage company in 1992 and started out tearing down files, right? He said, tear down these files, be a shredder, is how I felt at the time.
A human shredder.
Yeah, human shredder, because back then we only had a fax machine that had the crinkle paper that came out. So anyway, eventually I said, hey, I want to start doing loans. And I began doing loans, and he handed me a phone book, and my first ever loan was Mr. Abraham. So,
well, as far as the distinctions of your company, and I mean, so many real estate professionals here, so many mortgage professionals, what are the things that when someone is thinking about doing business with you or your company, what are some of the distinctions that you bring forth that you offer or tell people?
Me particularly, with the company overall and our systems that we have in place just to make the process go smooth for the home buyer, that's the most important part. The other part about it is Fairway's Advantage Approval Program. We were just talking about pre-approvals, and one of the parts about this is full-on loan approval to go and make an offer on a home. So you're basically cleared to close on a home, on a loan, and then you go find the property. So in that case, you could shorten your contract to close time. That's one of the ways to win some of these bids. And the other part of it is having no financing contingency because you have a fully approved loan. Outside of that, me personally, I work off of a clearly defined business blueprint that clearly defines that every customer gets the same level of service throughout the whole process. And we do that by whether it's communication, right? Whether it's text, phone calls, emails, and we expect that high level of service is going to continue to allow each customer to be educated, but it's also going to allow our referral partners just to set it and forget it. So they can go on and work on continuing to build their business while we handle and get these things closed.
Well, there's so many things to think about, but let's say someone is out there now thinking about buying a home. They're hearing maybe about the market, the craziness, and the pace of the market right now. When should they begin? Should they contact you, a mortgage professional, as far as when they're ready to buy the property? When should they make that contact with you?
Now. So whether or not right now, right now is the best time, right? Whether you've talked to your real estate agent or you have just started thinking about buying the home, you're going to want to start talking to your mortgage representative now. In my case, what I'll do is put together a full-on total cost analysis so that you know every detail as far as the numbers go, except for what the taxes might be on a property. So those little things are going to change. But we walk you through and put you on a plan. If you're not ready now, we'll put you on a plan to be ready in X number of days or months or years.
Well, especially because the pace of the market right now, you said those two words are so important, be ready. Just like the United States Coast Guard, their motto is Semper Paratus, always ready, right?
That's right.
You got to be ready. Now, let's say someone seeks you out, they go through the paperwork, they're ready as far as, and they found a property. And their offer was accepted. All those things just happened. Then what should the buyer do or not do? Well, and you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Sometimes people forget.
Well, in that case, what they should do is listen to the requests of their loan officer or the team that's working with them. So, and it would be providing all pages of the bank statement instead of just pages 1 through 4 of a 9-page bank statement. Right? So that's one of the biggest things. The other things not to do are go out and you're wanting this big car. Now you got to have the upgraded wanting this new house, and you've got to have now the upgraded car to live in this neighborhood, right?
Or new furniture.
And I will guarantee you, in 30 years of doing this business, that sale that is the greatest sale that you've ever seen on appliances and furniture is actually the same one that I see day after day.
So don't buy anything. Wait till you close on the house.
Wait until you get the actual permission from your originator to go ahead and make that purchase.
And at what point is the rate locked in? So when I apply for the loan with your company, let's say, and you say you're qualified for X amount, and I want to lock in a loan. You're still doing that? You're able to lock in a loan?
Yeah, we're still locking in loans, and there's different variants on that. Let's say right now in a normal transaction, 30 days or 15 days or whatever that might be, that we have to do that. So we'll take an application. We'll talk about interest rates. However, what we do is we watch what drives mortgage interest rates so that we can keep an eye on where interest rates are going to go rather than just reacting to what interest rates are. Right. So I'll give you an example. Just the other day, I was on vacation and I called a guy and I said, look, I'm getting an alert on interest on where bonds are at this moment. It's a good idea to lock in that interest rate right now. And all of a sudden, the next day after he locked in that interest rate and he accepted, I sent him a total cost analysis. Those bonds dropped. So that's what we try to do is stay ahead and watch what drives mortgage interest rates rather than react to what the rates are.
In fact, one of the distinctions here, or your distinction, is you have that experience, so you're able to make educated speculation like that, and there you are.
Sure.
You're right many times.
Absolutely. Right many times, but I'm also investing in software that allows me to do that too.
When you talked about your company, Mitch, as far as where they're guiding you ahead, what's coming, I would assume your company has regular meetings like that because it's such a fast-paced industry. What are some of the other things that are things that we can know about that as far as that are coming forth and that we should be ready for even in our economy?
30 years in the business, and they've run into a company that has the CEO online and on Zoom now every Friday. So we listen to what's coming up, or we also have a gentleman by the name of Dave Stevens come on and for us, for Fairway, give us what's coming up in the market. Our last update from him was that we're going to see an outstanding, strong market, real estate market, for a period of time. And part of the reason for that is because what we talked about a minute ago is first-time home buyers are about 34 to 35 right now. About 34 to 35 years ago, we had the highest birth rates in the country for a span of like 10 years. So we've got a really great time coming up.
Very interesting. I haven't been keeping track of the birth rates lately. However, I understand you have a teenager. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, and talking about being prepared, I think it starts when we're young. Good practices, good habits start when we're little, right?
That's right.
So when it comes to money, I don't know what they're teaching children in school these days, but I have a feeling they didn't teach us anything many years ago about money and good practices. But as a father of a teenager in the money business like you are, what is your advice to someone that's that young, 14 years old? What are you telling them so that when she's 14 now, right? Mm-hmm. Someday she'll be 25 and be looking at a home or whatever. So what are you telling young people like your daughter?
Well, my son's 14, my daughter's 10, and what we're starting with the 14.
And then they say, not again, Dad. We don't want to know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they're going to hear on this. Dad, did you have to go on the radio and talk about that? So we're setting up the son with a debit card so that he can get ready already.
10 years old.
At a 10 years old. Excuse me, I'm sorry, 14 years old. So he'll get that at 14. And setting him up with a bank account and a debit card so that he can go out with his friends and he can get the restaurant food or whatever he's going to get for lunch that day, right? But also know that he's got to keep an eye on that balance. The other part of it is letting them know to cut off 10% of whatever I give you as an allowance and put that aside in that account.
That's priceless right there.
Hold that on the side. And no matter who you are, especially in our business, like a new loan officer, the advice I'd give them is the same thing. Max out whatever you can put in your 401k, put another 10% aside of whatever your check is, the end net of your check, into a separate account that you don't really have access to. And that's the advice I'm also giving to home buyers, is to cut out that additional money, put it aside in an account that you really can't get. That's one of the ways that you can save up for your down payment. And then the other part of it is credit, is keeping those credit cards at about 10% of the limit on those cards. It's going to maximize the efficiency of the credit module.
And Mitch, before we close the segment out, what else would you like people to know?
One of the things that I'd like everybody to know, especially right now in this crazy, crazy market, that if you can't find the perfect house, you don't have to. You can make it. Come to Fairway. Call me. You can come to Fairway, and we can do a purchase renovation loan for you, so that when you go to buy that house, you can have the roof redone. You can have the bathroom and the master and the master closet put together any way that you want them put together, right? With a renovation loan.
That sounds good. Mitch, if someone's out there, you are Mitch Medigovich. If they want to reach out to you to find out more, what should they do?
They should give me a call at 281-581-0462, 281-581-0462, or hit me up on the website at mortgagemitchusa.com.
I like that. Mortgage Mitch. How'd you come up with that?
mortgagemitchusa.com.
That's awesome. And the number again, Mitch?
281-581-0462.
Thank you for being on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, Bill.
I say it all the time, and that is stay close to your Stewart Title business development officers. And yes, we don't have just one here today. We have three. We have Susan Bottoms, Rachel Saunders, Jennifer Bradley. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
We love coming to the show, Bill.
Well, we're so glad. Here you are, three magnificent voices representing Stewart Title. And I will tell people, first of all, as you listen out there, if you're in the real estate community, you know pretty much what a business development officer is. If you're just a buyer or seller or someone that likes real estate, business development officers are a very important part of the title company and the work that we do and how we're a resource to you, buyers and sellers and real estate professionals. Right, Rachel?
That's absolutely right.
So let's tell people, we'll start with you. As far as the branch that you cover, the offices you cover, let's tell people where you're at.
Well, I'm down in the Pearland and Friendswood area. I have amazing escrow officers at both offices. Down in Pearland, which is off of 288, south of Houston, and we have Tara Hobbs, who is our branch manager and senior escrow officer, and Melissa Wallace. They do amazing jobs. They take care of their real estate partners that choose to use their offices. They're just amazing at what they do. Matter of fact, Tara Hobbs just celebrated her 15-year work anniversary being with Stewart.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
And she's a regular listener to the show, I understand.
Yes, she is. She listens every Sunday.
That is awesome. And you use the word amazing several times. And I think that's so important, especially right now. We hear about the marketplace, the pace of it. And in the escrow world, you're dealing with so many details, bringing the transaction together. It really is amazing what the escrow officers are doing right there at Stewart.
And they never stop. They're constantly working, doing great work and taking care of their clients and communicating with them. So, and then also at my Friendswood office, I have Deanne Andrus, who's been there for, a long time, almost 18 years. And then we have Stacy Delarue. So we have two amazing escrow officers at my Friendswood office, and they have a great support team as well. I don't want to not mention them because it takes a team to make it happen. So
again,
our processors and so forth.
So many details are taking place and brought together in the real estate transaction. Jennifer, let's tell people the area that you cover.
I cover League City.
League City. So now many people outside of the Houston area, League City, that's kind of near Galveston. Can we say that?
Almost. It's, I would say, halfway.
So it's kind of in that southern zone. How's the business down there?
It's booming.
Everywhere.
It's good. Yes.
That is unbelievable. Who's covering the Galveston office?
Her name is Maggie Green.
Is that right? So is she new with the company?
She is.
So we could say hello to Maggie, too, on this show. What a special show.
Yes. Hi, Maggie.
And we need to get Maggie to be a regular listener.
We need to get Maggie on the show for sure.
All right. So that is a mental note. We will do that. And also Susan Bottoms. And if people, again, are listening outside of the Houston area, we're talking about kind of the southeast part of the city of Houston, kind of on the way to Galveston. So these three ladies work as a team, which is incredible and a Stewart distinction all its own. But Susan, let's tell people what you're doing. And you have several offices that you're working with, too.
Absolutely. I have the Stewart Title Clear Lake, and I also have the Stewart Title Gulf Freeway. I'm with Angelita Negretti and Mary Ochoa. Mary's been there for almost, seems like 40 years going.
40.
Yeah, she's been there for longer than any of my other escrow officers. And then at the Clear Lake office, I have Rhonda Trell. She's the branch manager, and she's been with Stewart going on 30 years, I believe. Oh, she's been in the business 30 years. Donna Medley's going on 29 years, so Rhonda's just under Donna. So Donna Medley's another escrow officer that's just been with us for a year escrowing, but she's been with the office the longest. And then I have Kelly Walker, and they all have an amazing team, and they each work all so good together. But my Gulf Freeway office is my bilingual office. So any of the agents, that we can send over to the Gulf Freeway for bilingual, they're amazing over there.
Well, when you mention those numbers, Susan, someone being, and it's not unusual. And by the way, we'll say hello to Harriet Dews. That's your mother, Jennifer. And how many years has she been with Stewart Title in Galveston?
31 years.
There you go. So that's a long time. And when we say these kind of numbers, I want to remind people Stewart Title started in Galveston, Texas, over 127 or 28 years. We don't look a day over 90, but we have been in business and started an international company right there from Galveston. And so the people like your mom that have been there 30 plus years, I mean, that's a long time, and almost half of how long we've been around. Not quite, but yes, we're around. What that means to people closing at Stewart Title, though, is that if there's a problem with the title, and usually there's not, but if there ever is, it usually comes down the road 10, 15 years, we're going to still be around to help people. Right, Rachel?
Absolutely. Longevity goes a long way.
And it is a super feature for people doing business with Stewart Title. One of the things when I say be close to your Stewart Title Business Development Officer, because you guys, and we have others around the city of Houston and beyond in the United States, but you're a resource for real estate professionals like Debbie and Mitch. So let's tell people about some of the activities and the ways that you're resources.
Well, we have many ways that we can help them with their marketing. We can help them grow their business. We can, just brainstorming, helping them be creative to do what they need to do. Also, we offer CE classes so that they're not having to go hunt them down. We have them at their disposals. We've done headshot sessions and all sorts of things for them, and offer networking opportunities for them to grow and expand their knowledge and resources.
Well, and also there are fun activities that happen as well. And here we're in the season, the summertime, and all those things. There's some great things. What about, Jennifer, some of the things you're doing over at your office?
We are actually collaborating right now. We have a happy hour at Dave & Buster's on Thursday, the 22nd.
Oh, I might need to go to that one.
You're invited. Come on down.
Oh, y'all come on.
And where's that one going to be?
It's at Baybrook Mall in Friendswood.
It's easy on, easy off the freeway.
Absolutely. The construction is no longer there. They've finished that part of 45, so easy access.
Yes, easy on, easy off the freeway. So some of those great things. Again, you're working with mortgage people, real estate professionals. What are some of the other things that are happening there, Susan? I mean, was it your office or your total office where we had the hurricane prep class?
Yes, we just had the
Let's
hurricane
tell people a little bit about that.
Was it last Wednesday?
Frank Billingsley was on at
yes,
your
we
event.
reached out to Frank Billingsley, and he attended, and his presentation is just absolutely amazing.
He's top-notch.
The attendance was great. We teamed up with Fairway Mortgage, and that's a great group, the Stephen Curtis team, just collaborating in building the business and growing and building relationships with not only agents, but our lenders and our other surveyors and, other home warranties, other partners out there to work together and be a team together. And that's what the three of us, we didn't want to work against each other. We wanted to work as a team, and that makes it easier on us. And
it's very powerful, too, for the community, the real estate community.
Yes, it makes it easy on the agents to say, they're a team, and we don't care where you close as long as you close with Stewart,
That's right.
And the three of us are getting together and going to start ending out our third and fourth quarter with CE classes, and it hopefully some Christmas events or something to do with Thanksgiving, fall, Halloween. Just try to come up with some fun stuff.
Well,
because that's what the agents like.
That's right. And in fact, this time of year, it's top of mind. People think about it. We're still in hurricane season and all that. And I remember when Frank Billingsley was on our show about a year or two ago, he said, "How is severe weather like a visit from your in-laws?" Number one. You remember what he said? He said, number one, you want to know when it's going to be there. Number two, how much damage is going to be done. And number three, When are they going to leave?
When's the leaving?
All right, there's my joke for the day. All right, so Rachel, before we close the segment, let's tell people what else do you want them to know?
I want them to know that they should reach out to their Stewart Title and use us as a resource. Reach out to us as business development officers. Let us see how we can help you and team up with you to make and help you grow your business. I mean, we're here for you always.
And you can people can call, have a question. I mean, even especially
We're here to help.
New real estate professionals, you have some tools that you're able to help them with as far as getting started, doing some marketing, doing some
mailers, all sorts of things. Education, knowledge is power to a lot of our newer realtors out there, and they don't know what they can do. We have a lot of things like Breakthrough Broker that can help them with their social media marketing, mailers, all sorts of stuff. So they just need to reach out to us and see what we can do. Ask, and we will find the answer for them.
And if someone wants to call you, Rachel Saunders, what should they do?
They should call 832-418-4778.
One more time.
832-418-4778.
And Jennifer Bradley?
Yes, I have to say before we go that I have an escrow officer that just celebrated 30 years with Stewart.
And her name is?
Delia Jimenez. That's a big number. That's
a
a
big
long
number.
time. Doesn't look a day over 29 either.
There you go.
Promise.
See? Let the jokes go forth. So in the meantime, Jennifer, if someone wants to reach out to you.
It's 281-221-1508. 281-221-1508.
And Susan, before we close the segment, what else should we know?
I also have it, but mine is a processor, Monica McAnally. She's with the Kelly Walker. They're the dynamic duo team. She is going to be celebrating on the 17th, 20 years with Stewart. And my number for contact is 832-851-7935. 832-851-7935.
Ladies and gentlemen, Susan Bottoms, Jennifer Bradley, Rachel Saunders, thanks, ladies, for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is with Stewart Insurance, the one and only John Bramlett. John, welcome.
Thank you, Bill. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, here we go. Insurance, all sorts of things we're talking about today, but the final icing on the cake, once again, is insurance.
Oh, insurance is always the sweetest part of the conversation.
Indeed it is. So what have you brought forth today to enlighten us in the world of insurance?
Well, we've talked the last several weeks off and on about folks doing, kind of mid-season evaluation, mid-year evaluation. So if you are looking at a policy, let's say, for example, an errors and omissions or professional liability policy, it's important to know what the key sections are and what they represent. So that's what I thought we'd talk a little bit about today is what are the key sections within a policy and what they represent.
So let's do that because there's a lot of fine print, but it's underneath the key sections, so, or we'll even call it bullet points.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the first thing to look for is going to be your declaration page, and that's a kind of a high-level overview of what the plan provides. So it'll cover the coverage amount, the amount of money that you're responsible for, whatever the retroactive date is, and the policy period. So it'll say who the insured is. So it could be Bill Knapik Realtors. Let us know who the insured is. What are the coverage amounts? So it's how much coverage. So let's say you've got $1 million of liability coverage per incident and $1 million aggregate. So that would be the amount of coverage you would have for that policy period, usually a year. So it would be $1 million, $1 million. The deductible, so then the amount that you're responsible for before you can, the insurance would come into play. So let's say you have a claim that's going to cost you $100,000. And your deductible is $2,500, so you would pay the first $2,500, and then the insurance partner would come in and pick up the rest. The premium is the cost of the plan, so that'll be on the declaration page. The retroactive date is the date when a first plan was initiated. So let's say this is a third insurance partner you've been with, but you started Bill Knapik Realtors in 2018. So let's say your declaration page could be July the 12th, 2018. So that would show whoever was your partner that you had coverage back to that date. And then the last thing that's really critical on the declaration page is going to be the policy period. So let's say the policy kicked off on July the 12th, 2021 and runs through July the 12th, 2022. So you know what that coverage period is. So that's what the declaration page will tell us.
It sounds like a very important page and a place where we could find out very important information quickly and then go beyond that to find out more details. But that's
absolutely. So it gives you a nice overview.
It's my favorite page.
The declaration page, yes, it's always a great read. The next favorite page is the insuring agreements, and that's the statement detailing what the insurance company is agreeing to cover. So you'll see something like we, representing the insurance company, agreed to provide coverage to professional services provided by you, and then we name the insured. So Bill Knapik Realtors is the example we're using. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that would be what the insurance agreement does. So it tells you what the insurance company is wanting to cover. The next section is definitions, and in a sense, that's the dictionary of the insurance plan, and it provides some clarity of both about what that specific plan by that specific company, what the different terminologies mean, and it also helps reinforce and explain in deeper ways what the insurance agreement is. So you might see, and it provides a feel for what the intent of the policy is, which is always important. So you'll see something like insured, and they'll define that as the individual or organization that's covered by the product. Or you'll see professional services, and that's the insured services, and then lead specifically based upon that plan what those coverages could be. So that's what you're going to see in the definitions. I said it's kind of the dictionary of the policy.
So it sounds like when we talk to the insurance agent at Stewart Insurance about any of the policies, we have a conversation, and then we ask questions, things are explained, and we say, okay, I want that policy. Then we get this information, we look at it, and then go from there.
Absolutely. So, and it's important that whoever you're working with, that when you do have your plan in place, that you take the time to read it, because I know that working with an advisor, they're going to walk through the key elements of this, but it's important to know because, for example, we talked about the insuring agreement that covers what the insurance company will cover, but there's also a section called exclusions that outlines scenarios the insurance company is not agreeing to insure. So, for example, you'll see this in every policy. They will not provide coverage for intentional unlawful acts. So if you intentionally do something to break the law or to be fraudulent, obviously you're not going to have coverage. So the exclusions is a great section to look at because it's going to tell you specifically what they're not going to cover.
Very important.
Yep.
Especially like when I think back to times like Hurricane Harvey, there were some people that did not have flood insurance and thought that their policy, not many people, maybe there was a few that thought that their policy covered flood, and we're calling up the insurance agent saying, hey, my house flooded. That's not covered. That's one of those exclusions we're talking about.
Well, and actually, with that example, the flood insurance is a whole separate policy. So, but you're right. The mistake that people make is they assume that flood coverage is part of your home policy. Now, there is some water damage coverage in some home policies, but you're right. People have made the assumption that it's a flood, and that's a separate policy. Again, so it's important to read that policy and truly understand, what the intent is.
Indeed. In fact, I'll let the word go forth. I'm not the insurance expert, but know what's excluded. That simple.
Absolutely.
And you're on the way to being properly insured when you know these things, the declaration page, what's excluded.
Absolutely. And then there's a section that's called endorsements the insurance company will come back around and either tell you, you know what, we're going to cover this, but maybe at a lesser limit. You'll hear the term sublimit. Or they may come and say, well, we're not going to cover this. So what it does, that section is either it can expand the policy or it can narrow the policy depending upon the intent of the company and then also what the client's needs are. So it's important to take a look at that endorsement section. And then the last one is conditions. So that just kind of reviews the processes. What do you do if you think you have a claim or you do have a claim? What do you want to do if you have to cancel the policy? What do you want to do when you want to renew the policy? All those kinds of processes and procedures are covered in the conditions section.
It's a very interesting set of documents, or a document, if you will, as it's a legal document, and it covers so many things and so many ifs, and telling you straightforward, it's this coverage period, this is not included. Fascinating.
It really is.
When you as an attorney would look at it and say, this is a beautiful document.
It is, but it's important because, if you don't pay attention, you may assume that something is covered that's not. And the example you used about flood earlier is the case. But if you don't want to assume that there's coverage, that's why it's important to go through each one of those sections and understand what the intent is, and then being able to go back to the definitions to see how that particular insurance company with that particular plan defines that item.
So many people like me may not want to read their insurance policy even after I purchase it, but the nice thing about Stewart Insurance, they could just give you a call.
Absolutely.
And ask your professionals right there.
We're always going to want people to read their policy, and we think it's important, especially from a business perspective, that you understand what that coverage is. But obviously we are, as your insurance advisor, we're here to provide you that support, to answer any questions that you have, to provide the counsel, because, as we've talked about in the past on the show, things change. You add employees, you move offices, you add different services, you decide to rent space or own space. So there's all different things that can affect your business. You add a family member, you add a driver, you add another car, you add an extension to your home. So all these different things or changes in your life can affect your insurance coverage. So it's important to stay close to that advisor.
That's right. Some people have teenagers that are going to drive, and that's a whole other thing, right?
Absolutely. You have a new driver in the family, you're going to want to look at some additional coverage.
And before we close things, John, what else should people know?
Well, people ought to know if they truly want to be properly insured, they can reach us at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. They can visit us online at stewartinsurance.com or shoot us an email at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
Anywhere in the United States.
Anywhere in the United States, 866-798-2827.
Thank you so much, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance. And now she's back as we wind up the show, Debbie Hartstern with Martha Turner Sotheby's International Realty. As we close things out, Debbie, what else should we know?
You should know that if you are thinking about real estate, now is a great time to jump in. We can help you. I can help you anywhere you want to look in the greater metro area. Get you set up, and it's always a great time. Low interest rates are great while they're here. We can educate you on the market where you're looking, so give us a call. I can be reached at 713-854-7099 or go on the web at sothebysrealty.com.
And the number again is?
713-854-7099.
And as we wind things up, here he is, Mitch with Fairway Mortgage. Mitch, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What should we know before we close things down?
What you should know is if you haven't already done your annual mortgage review, they should give me a call at 281-581-0462, 281-581-0462.
Thank you, Mitch, and thank you, everyone, for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Once again, simply go to stewart.com/radio to see and hear this show again, or any of our past shows. Once again, stewart.com/radio. And until next week, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you then.
Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com, or call 866-798-2827. 798-2827. 798-2827.